Okay, everybody, we're on location today. We're working on our 07 DTS that we get from time to time. Last year we did the hub bearing on this wheel, and I took it out and drove it, and the ABS lights on and the traction control lights on, and it's legit this time. It's actually got a traction control issue. The wire that I did last summer, apparently, if you do a patch job on that wire, you need to be specific, because I wasn't, and it's throwing a code. So here's our wire. I already got the ends bared so that we can solder it in. This wire is $100 from the parts store. It's OE, so it'll work. The part that's important to note here is that these wires are 18 gauge. I think the common repair uses 16 gauge wire, and the size difference is big enough to where the computer can't recognize it because it's resistance driven. So that's why we're in here. I'm betting we're probably going to end up just pulling it out just above my repair, bearing that end down, and then soldering the new line in, putting some heat shrink on it, taping it up, and we're done. We're out of here. So let's get started. Our tire in position so we got something to sit on. And we'll scoot you in so you can see where we're going here. So our ABS system is that blue connector you can see right there. Our ABS system plugs in back here. So what we need to do is we need to disconnect this line, pull it out from underneath the car here. Alright, and then we need to pull this out and stretch it out all the way out. And it looks like it's been chewed up a little bit, so it's probably good that we're in here today. I don't suppose we're going to be going too far up the chain on this thing. I got plenty of line here. We got to at least get up past that clamp right there, so I'm guessing it's going to be right up in that bunch of wiring that I repaired last year. So we're going to take our protective covering off that we put on. We'll pull this clip down here so we can get it out. You usually get those with a couple fingers and it pops right out, see? Alright, and then we've got our wiring back up in here, so we got to cut our zip ties, take this plastic off, and then I think it's right in this area where my finger sits. I think it's right up in here where we're going to be splicing the new line in. Let me get my cutters. We'll cut this stuff off and see what we got. Now you can hook this up with, you can do this with butt connectors, or you can solder it. I'm going to solder it because of the location here. I don't want it. A butt connector can come apart, whereas a solder doesn't. So as far as me retying all that up, I don't have any zip ties with me, so we're going to have to just, when we get to that point, I'll just have to go back to the shop and get some zip ties. We're not too far from the shop, so we'll be all right. Cut our zip ties here so we can get in here, and we can start working on this. Yeah, this was a temporary fix, so I'm not surprised that it failed. But now we're here to fix it permanently. If this doesn't fix it, then he's got a bad connection in his computer. So we try everything possible not to condemn the computer, even though sometimes the computer does go bad. You see, I tied this up real good. I made sure that no dirt or anything was going to get in here, and that if I had to come back in and undo it, I could. Now the new line comes pre-wrapped, so I don't think we're going to need any electrical tape, other than if we're going to tape our heat shrink, which that all depends on whether or not we can even get in there. With all this oil in here, I don't know if I dare use my butane torch on this. We might set the car on fire. You might have to butt connector this and then keep an eye on it, and then if we have to later on, because we got a little bit extra lead there on our replacement line, if we have to come back in later, we'll just pressure wash the engine down, get all this oil out of here, and then we can heat solder and heat shrink it. So it all depends on what we got happening here. So let's pull our stuff down here. Yep, it's going to be right in that neighborhood, right there where I patched it. Alright, so let's see. We got some broken leads up in here we can tie into. So let's go ahead and we'll cut it right above the tape. And we'll cut it on both sides, that way it's even. This is what we're going to do. We're going to come up in here. We can strip that. That's far enough up we can strip it. Alright, there's our old lead. And we got our new lead right here, but before we do that, we gotta get that ready to go. Now there's two ways you can splice this, you can clean this lead up. You can clean it up. Let me see if I can get that to come up through the top there. I'm gonna see if I can pull that wiring up to the top of the engine here so we can do it up top side. Green. Alright. If I cut that lead. Oh, we got a couple leads we gotta get right here. When I zip tied this together, I did a good job on it. I'm telling you, I got it zip tied everywhere. I think it's even zip tied up here. No, it's not. It's part of another set of stuff. Let's see if I can pull those leads up. Maybe I can get it done up here so we don't have no do it. Well, that ain't gonna work. But might be able to get that opened up so we can get underneath it. Alright, let's try this. We don't want to pull that up too far because we don't have any lead left to do it. Oh, we got some more bare wires. Nice. Got some more bare wires to deal with. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do then. Our wires are green. And alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut it up on the top here where I can get to it easily. And I'm going to go get my wiring kit. We're going to rewire it from the engine down. So let's see, we need to get up into here. So we're going to just cut that. And I'll just get rid of this. We got a bunch of wire in here that's going all stupid. We're going to have to rewire the whole car. Which is what I thought might happen because there's a lot of broken leads in here. Next question is, do I have any 18 gauge lead I can put on here? Because this has to be stretched or braided. I'm trying to get it out of the car. Might have to just cut it short and just leave it. Which I think that's what we're going to do. We're just going to cut it short and leave it. Find my wire cutters here. We got it cut on the top side, so I'm just going to have to go back to the shop and get my 18 gauge wire. And we're just going to have to rewire the car. That's fine because we got plenty of lead up here we can do it. wire the car, and then we'll feed the lead down. This will work to our advantage because we could hook our new wire to our sensor and then run our sensor down inside the car where it needs to go, and then we can finish the connection up on the engine. Oh, this is going to work out beautifully. So let me go get some stuff and I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. I just happened to have some 18 gauge wire in the colors I was looking for. It's kind of like I was foreshadowing this day or something. Okay, so the key to a good service car is to make sure you got enough room on it to use it as a portable bench. We're using my mother's Grand Dam today because that's the only one I had ready to go. It did so well on its recall the other day, I figured why not. So we're going to solder our leads together onto this piece here. Then we're going to feed this down from the top of the engine down to where it connects on the car. After we do that, we will know exactly how much wire we need. Then we'll braid the wire like it is on the car, and then we'll get the car part done, and we'll be done. So this job's probably not going to be too long of a job. It just all depends. So get your lead out here. The reason I picked yellow and green is because it's the same color wires on the car. So the only wires that are going to be different would be like from the OE where they hooked it like that. So, but if you were to look at the wiring diagram, you'd see a yellow and green wire on it. So that helps the next guy, which is probably going to be me, if I have to fix this again later. So, get our wires ready. Now there's two ways you can strip wire. You can do it like I'm doing it, where you just grab it and pull. Put your fingers like this, you got something to hold it, and you just pull it like that. Or another way that I do it from occasion, and you might have seen this on video, is where I'll grab the wire, I'll put a pair of pliers underneath it, which is actually holding the wire, and I pry against the pliers. I do that only if it's really thin wire or I feel like it's going to give me an issue. So we're using rosin core solder. You got to be careful with this stuff because you got to use really low temperature on your gun. I'm using a butane torch, which I've seen this done before, so I tried to do this on another job and it did not work very well, probably because my solder was super thin. This solder is not that thin, so I think we'll be all right. Plus it comes in this nice little carrying case here, so I can kind of grab it and pull it out as much as I need and be able to control it a little bit better. Sorry about that. And of course we got our heat shrink here that we need to put on the line. You got to do that first and foremost before you go anywhere with this, because once you solder this, it's good. There's no going back. So we got different sizes here. I think what we're going to need is just this red one here. So we will cut 2 pieces of that. Yeah, it looks good. And we'll get that ready. And then we'll slide these onto the wiring here. Slide them all the way down. Okay? Slide them all the way down. And don't slide them on the same wire. That does nobody any good. Now, as far as wiring this together, being that we have brown and black here, I think what I'm going to do is just make a judgment call. Green is usually common, so green will go on the black wire, and then the brown wire will be yellow. So I don't know if I got you in this frame here to see this. Zoom in a little bit so you Alright, I'm about to tie these wires together. You see this real good? Now they say you shouldn't do this on YouTube, but I don't care what anybody says. I got a job to do. Alright, so we're gonna get our torch on. Alright, our torch is on. Put it on continuous, that way we can be able to maneuver it. Wish I had another hand here to hold this, because this wire wants to get all stupid on me. And we got a nice tight connection there, so we'll be alright. That's all I care about, is having a nice tight connection. And then we'll see if we can get our heat shrink to fit over top of it here. And it's not going to, which is typical. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our pliers and we're going to squeeze these together while it's still warm. Probably ought to use one size larger than what you're doing. Probably would make this job a little bit easier. Yeah, we're going to have to try something different. So knowing what we know, let's not use the red one. We're going to use the blue one. It's a little bit bigger. We might be able to do a slice over. I'll show you what a slice over is. It's probably not approved by anybody, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a slice over, which is where I slice this down the side, and we wrap it around, and then we shrink it. And then what that'll do is that'll cover it up, and then we'll tape it. All because I screwed up. Actually, in theory, this would work if those two lines would have come together instead of being off like that. It would have worked. Of course, I've got the shakiest hands in the business when it comes to this, so that's why I prefer the good old-fashioned butt connector, and I have some of those too if I need to go there. So I come prepared, except for zip ties. I don't have any zip ties. Forgot those when I went to the shop earlier. Okay, so we got that wrapped around. And we'll heat that up, and that'll should wrap around that. Yeah, it worked somewhat. Grab the tape and tape that up. And our green wire will be connected, and then we gotta do the same on the yellow. Me and my crappy tape job. But we have to protect the wire from the elements, so that's how you can tell I've done it, because the tape job's garbage. I'll say that and stand by it. I could probably do a better tape job, but I don't know. Alright, so we got our wire soldered. It's been heat shrank, and we're golden. I'm going to do the rest off camera, and then I'll bring you back when we get ready to feed it into the car. Alright, I got my wires stripped on the car. Now we're going to send our sensor wire down that we just put together. And we're going to see how well this works. So it doesn't matter how you run this wire, because when you get ready to solder it up, you're going to be coming up the side of the engine block. Your main goal at this point is just to get the wire down to the hub any way you possibly can. So you just shove it down like this. Of course, it's going to get caught on everything on the way down, so you got to get it to a certain point, and then you can grab it from the bottom and drag it through, which is what I'm about to do. You gotta be careful with your wiring, it brings it down. Alright, so now we're gonna hook it up just like it would be on the car. And we'll plug the sensor in. All my connectors. Getting all my rubbers connected here, so down here. People need to quit being loud. Trying to make YouTube here. Alright, and you push it into this one here. Now this, it doesn't matter. You just pick whichever one you want. I like that one, so we're going to go with that one. And then there's a hole in this bracket back here for this wire to sit. And then we're going to tack it to that wire. Alright, so now we got to check our wiring on the top. The bottom part's done. We're done down here. The rest of it happens up here now. You can see we got our leads running down. Actually, there you can see our leads running down. So now what we're going to do is our leads are almost exactly where we cut the wire at. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut our wire a little bit long. So we got some extra room to play with here. So we're going to cut our wires like that. Get them stripped so that we can hook them up to our new wire. And see, this way you can look at the diagram if you have to repair your car. Yeah, this one has a yellow and brown trace to it, but it's fine because yellow and yellow, it doesn't matter. Okay, and then we've got to twist these before we hook them up. Because if we don't twist these, the computer will read an error code. Don't know why. Just loose twist, just like that. See that? And then it matches right up like that. And then this is where we would splice it together. I've got some blue butt connectors, which are for 16 and 14 gauge. We're going to try those and see if they work. Worst that'll happen is it'll come apart. And then I'll have to go get the red ones, which is for 18 to 22 gauge. So let me get some butt connectors, because I don't trust myself with a flame around all of this. I don't need to set the car on fire. So let me get my butt connectors and we'll hook that up. We got enough room that this will actually work. So let me see if you're in the neighborhood where we need you to be. There we go. Alright, grab your butt connectors here. We'll hook this end onto this wire first. Now these are heat shrink style, so when we're done, we'll put the torch on it, we'll melt it a little bit and get it to seal up. These are what they call weather pack kind. There we go. Oh, that fits nice and solid. I think we'll be all right with this. Grab your crimping tool, get on the end of it and crimp it down. Now I do 2 crimps on my stuff because there's times where the first crimp don't take. So you want to crimp it twice. See, that one took, so we're in good shape there. And then we're going to hook our yellow wire to that. And then we're going to heat shrink and tape it. You know it's a good fit when your wire wants to curl up on you. Now if you're good with a torch and you can do the soldering part, then I would recommend soldering it. But if you're not good with a torch like me, but you like to try it out from time to time, and you got enough patience to do it, and you're not 5 cars deep like I am, then you can go ahead and solder it. But in this case, if for some reason it breaks, it's up high enough on the car where we can readily access it. So that's why I did it this way. And then what we'll do is we're going to reroute this new line. We're going to route it up the engine block here so it's out of the way of moving parts. And then he'll be good to go. So let's unravel our lead back a little bit so we can get a little bit of heat on this, and we'll heat shrink that together. Part of the problem I have with this is I can't see the flame. See, now I can see the flame. I can determine how far in I got to go to get it to do its job. See that? That's better than what it was on the back of the car because I couldn't see it. Pull your lines back so you don't get those. See that? Done. See, when you can see the flame, it makes the job a whole lot better. And then, even though we don't need to, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to put some tape on it. I believe in overkill. If it's not required, do it anyway. You never know. A piece of dirt get in there and corrode those wires out, and you're back under here doing it again. Tape them up separately, and then tape them up together. That way, you're good. Try not to cut your other lead in the process here. Alright, let's go ahead and get our other lead done now since that one's ready. We got to wrap that around. And then we've got, well, we can do it like that. That'll work. Crimp the car end first. Actually, it doesn't matter. You can crimp either end first. If you know exactly how much wire you need, you can pre-cut the wire and get it set up on the sensor wire and then just attach it to the car. There we go. Sometimes the first crimp don't take. That's why I do 2 crimps. And then this one falls in here like that. Actually, we gotta rotate this. Gotta rotate this, and then we can put it in. Mr. Shaky Hands here, doing electrical just for you. There we go. Check it for, yeah, it's tight. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull that back a little bit. We'll hold it with our fingers so that it doesn't pop back up. Keep it away from that radiator hose so you don't burn the radiator hose. Last thing you need is to put a hose on this car. And heat shrink your heat shrink. There we go. That's all we want, right? Let that sit a minute, and then what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to tape them together since I don't have enough room in between them to tape them separately. Either way it's taped, so. And then I will tape these together. And it looks like OE, except with new wire. Anybody ever question your work, tell them you do it to factory spec. Gets them every time. But we're not done yet. See, we got some bare wire here we got to address. This is how we're going to address it. We're going to take some of our old wire that we, our old connector stuff here, and we're going to wrap that up with it. Even though I would rather use new stuff, I don't have any new stuff. So we're going to unwrap this stuff. We're not going to tape it up like I did before, because this is not going to be around any moving parts. This is just on the top. So we can get away with not taping it up. So we're going to take our new stuff and we're going to cut it. Now on the test drive, because I got to test drive this thing to make sure that it's going to function, what I'm going to do is I'll just take it back to the shop and we'll put some zip ties where they need to be on this thing. I'm going to send this down on top of the old stuff so it kind of covers it up. And then when you get all the wiring in it, then you can adjust it where you need it. This is going to go inside this, well, it's not going to be able to fit inside that connector. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie it to the wiring a different way. So you want to get all your wiring in here first. You see how we got a little extra hanging out on the end? We can go ahead and pull this up. Grab our sensor so we got something to grab a hold of, and we'll just kind of wrap this up around like this. And there you have it, folks. There you have it, folks. Now I got to route this along this engine block here, so I'm going to do that a little differently, because they did it a little differently when they put this together. Oh, I see how that works. That line goes down, clip right here. I could probably pop that clip open and send this in there, but I don't know if I'll be able to. I think I can. There we go. Popped it open. I'm going to feed this inside here like that. I'm going to lock it back down. And that'll keep it up against the engine. As far as it hanging down everywhere else, it's not going to be around any heated items like the exhaust systems. I don't think we'll be having to worry about it too much. That, and we got a little bit extra wire in the event that we got to come in later and fix it again. So now I got to put the tire back on, torque it back down to 100 foot-pounds. Get in the car, reset the code, take the car for a drive, make sure the code stays out. And if it stays out, job is done. If it don't stay out, then I don't know what to do next. So, but that's how you fix your ABS wire on your Cadillac DTS. This method also works on any car that has access to wiring. So if you got to do, on Fords, they usually have a connector. So you just unplug the connector. Chryslers, I think, you can do this with. Import cars, you can definitely do this with. Now, if you are one of those guys that nerds out on electrical, this would be a great opportunity to, instead of doing like I did here, you could put a connector in and then set a connector up on the other side. And then that way, if the line ever goes bad, you just unplug it from up there. And then you just got to put a new connector on the new line and you're good to go. So that's a suggestion if you want to go that far. But that's what we got. So thanks for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe. And we'll catch you on the next one.